Am I wrong for hiding from my mom that I've been messaging her birth daughter? When my mom, 46 female, was 21, she was married to some guy in the States who was cheating on her when she was pregnant. She hated him and hated that she was having his baby, had a traumatic pregnancy, was really depressed and didn't like being a parent, then signed away the rights to Alyssa, 25 female, some months after she gave birth. Alyssa was adopted by her father's affair partner and raised by her. My mom moved up here north to Canada, fell in love with my dad and married him when she was 30. She's had nothing to do with Alyssa besides demanding she never contact her again after she tried to. Last year, my mom finally told me about Alyssa, but made it clear that she didn't see her as a daughter and that Alyssa's mother was her father's wife. She also demanded that we try to not get them into any contact. So that's cool and all, but I was really fascinated by this idea of a sister I never had. So I secretly started messaging her, and even though she was hesitant at first, we've become good friends and I really want to meet her. Okay, I know you went through a traumatic, I can't even imagine what you went through, but I don't think it's right to hold sisters apart because I have a sister and I don't know what I would do in my life without her. So everyone deserves a sister. If you have it, give it to her. She's also become really successful in her field and works at the University of Toronto, which is where I want to go. I'm not going to lie. I really look up to her and would love to follow in her footsteps. And Toronto is a lot better of a city than the one we currently live in. The problem is that I left my phone unlocked yesterday and my mom freaked out when she saw that I was talking to her. She pointed out that she didn't want a reunion or me talking with her and that we aren't family and doesn't want my siblings to know before they're my age. I felt really bad because she started crying a lot, more than I've ever seen before. My dad told me it would all be okay, but he's been the one dropping me off to school, even though it's always been my mom. I've been wondering if I'm the asshole from hiding from my mom that I've been messaging Alyssa. So, am I? Am I wrong for trying to talk my friend out of taking a paternity test? My friend Nick and his wife Jessie just had a baby. I'm close friends with both of them. The baby looks just like Nick. There's no question they are related. One of Nick's friends is a bit of a weird guy and he brainwashed Nick into wanting to take a paternity test. Nick asked my advice on how to bring up this topic with his wife Jess. Oh, you don't, you psycho. I was shocked. I thought the relationship was good and they trusted each other and the baby looks just like Nick. I started asking Nick questions as to why he thinks Jess cheated. What did she do that made him suspicious? He admitted that she didn't do anything, but he needs the test to be certain. So I told Nick that it's a bad idea and could really hurt Jess. She had an extremely traumatic birth, the baby was huge, she didn't get an epidural, and everything ripped. I think she might even have postpartum depression. What she needs is support and love and not accusations of cheating. He kept saying that he needs this to be certain and his wife should be understanding. So I asked him how he would feel if his wife asked for a paternity test for him and Anna's, his female best friend's, baby who was born last year. He said he would be really disappointed and just, and it would make him rethink their entire relationship, possibly even break them up. He said it's different because Jess doesn't have to spend money on and raise Anna's baby, thinking it's hers when it might not be. Nick is now mad at me for not supporting and helping him. He says that I'm a woman and I can never understand how it is to the father and I'm not even trying to understand it. Which is partially true. But I can say the same thing about him, that he is not even trying to understand how it is to be the mother to be basically accused of cheating after such a traumatic birth. So did I step over a line? Am I the asshole? Oh my god, this guy's gonna get his ass kicked because that's what I would do. Am I wrong for forcing my roommate to miss her finals exam that she spent 2 years studying for? Context: I live with a roommate and her 3-year-old child. Roommate is a 4th-year medical student and is really struggling, having to balance with child, intense study workload, chores, and part-time jobs to afford rent, babysitter, and necessities. On the day of the biggest exam of her entire degree, her babysitter canceled last minute. She was absolutely frantic and hysterically called every one of her contacts to help. Of course, she asked me. She has asked me before to babysit, and I always give a stern no. It's not the time that I need to spend, since I'm perfectly fine with swapping around chores, but the principle that I must be responsible for the child for the duration. Example, if the child hurts himself, no matter how badly, it would be on me. And I refuse to take that responsibility for something like that, so I always refuse to babysit. She begged me, and since the journey to her exam center is almost 2 hours and she needed to go now, she just said, "I don't effing care," and just left the house. Frankly, I found this quite disrespectful as it is trying to push me to babysit without my consent. Right after she left, I grabbed my coat and also left. She was starting her car when she saw me and asked what I was doing. I told her I was going to watch a movie. I lied. I just refused to babysit without consent. Her eyes dropped and I could see the tears forming as she started begging me more to help her. I still explained the same thing and that it's not the time or effort but the responsibility. She told me she would sign a waiver that states I am 100% not responsible no matter what happens. I am not an expert in law and not sure if such a waiver is even legally enforceable. Even so, it still carries a responsibility risk, so I stand my ground. Eventually, she became quiet and started sobbing while hitting herself. I, as respectably as I can, asked if there's anything I can help with that does not involve babysitting the child. She told me to F off, so I did and actually went to watch a movie. It's been a few weeks and she still absolutely refuses to communicate with me. I do feel pretty bad, since I've seen for the past 2 years we've lived together that she has almost no free time, always sleeps later than me, and wakes up earlier than me to cram in a little bit of extra study. I know the exam meant a lot to her, and missing the exam might jeopardize her entire degree of 4 years. It sucks that her efforts for the past 2 years has gone down the drain, but that's not an excuse to cross my bottom line. Tomorrow, I'm going to ruin his life. I have been with him for 3 years now. We planned on getting married when our lives settled down. I wanted to start a family with him. I loved him more than anyone else in this world. I've sacrificed so much for him, moved away from my home, turned down jobs so I could stay with him, and stood by his side as he started to go back to school. I gave him my world, and he cheats on me. I found out over a month ago. The scumbag got cocky, and I found out that he was cheating on me with 2 different women. One is a TA at his university. The other is his best friend's girlfriend. I am livid. I write this post choking back venom. I loved him so much. He was my world, but now he will be the world I burned to nothing but ash. I've paid for everything since he quit his job last year to go to school. I was more than happy to help him. I make enough to support us both. The only upside is that the student loans are in his name with no connection to me. It will hurt to push the scumbag out to sea, but I will survive. I have held out for a month, enough time to create what I call the day his world burns. Tomorrow we are hosting a party. I arranged for his family to come, but my family will sadly not be able to make it. I have packed everything valuable already in the suitcases in the back of my car. My brother will come during the event tomorrow to take the car that is in my name that the dirtbag drives to my parents' house. The joint account, which is all my money anyways, is already empty. The event will be great, and he thinks it's for us to announce our engagement to his family. What will happen in reality is I will announce my departure from his life. I have already taken a job out of state and have lined up a new place to live. I will start by telling everyone what he is into. The screenshots of him asking his friend's girlfriend to piss on him and many other fantasies his degenerate mind came up with will be passed around. I will hand him the notice to vacate as I have already broken our lease. We will need to be out by the end of the month. I will then end off by informing him that I have already reported he was sleeping with the TA from one of his classes the previous semester to the university and that I am sad I won't see the fallout from that. His friend also has a message for him that I will deliver, informing him that his friend group will never want to see him again as well. And with that, I will leave. I will not look back. I will set his life on fire and walk away. Damn! But you know what? Bravo to you. Because if you're going to break up with someone and you really want it to hurt, this is how you do it. Calm, collective. She gave herself time to really process everything and didn't really just do it off pure emotion, and gave herself a really good setback plan to go back home, and she already has a job lined up. That's how you do it. I know it's hard, but like, we need an update. Am I wrong for how I reacted to my wife's pregnancy announcement? My wife, female 26, and I, 30 male, decided to start having kids. We've been trying for over 9 months and nothing happened. We were told to be patient, but I couldn't help but stressing out about a problem that's preventing us from conceiving. The issue is that my wife kept joking about this matter and pranked me twice by lying to me saying she was pregnant. The first was when I was at work and she sent a text telling me she was pregnant. I was so happy I came home and brought stuff with me to celebrate, only to find her laughing in my face saying it was a prank. Second time she told me she was pregnant, she was recording my reaction during and after the prank. Again laughing, telling me it was a prank, but this time she shared the video with her family. I told her I didn't appreciate how she laughs about a serious matter, then having me believe it was true only to ruin my happiness. She stopped for 2 months. Last night we were at my parents' house sitting having dinner when she said she had a gift for me. She had my sister go bring a small teddy bear with a note on it and gave it to me. I was nervous and worried about her pulling some of her pranks on me in front of my family. I read the note that the teddy bear had on it, and it said that I was going to be a dad. I looked at my wife and she smiled at me and congratulated me saying she was pregnant. I saw red completely. I got up from my seat and tossed a piece of paper on the table and just snapped, telling her to stop making fun of something so serious and sensitive. I told her I was done with her lack of respect and sympathy for the most important thing that I've been struggling with, and to include my parents in her prank was too low. My wife excused herself to the bathroom. My mom and dad were unaware of what was happening. They literally paused and asked what the hell is wrong with me. My sister said my wife was actually pregnant and just confirmed by tests that she's seen with her own eyes. I felt both happy and devastated because I thought she was pulling the same prank again and I got fed up with it. My wife got mad and argued with me in the car, saying I ruined her joy and made her look awful in front of my family, as well as lashing out on her as my reaction to the happy news. She said she told me in front of my parents to show me she was serious this time. She had her mom call to berate me and said her poor daughter will suffer with my boorish behavior and lack of respect for her. My wife has been giving me the cold shoulder ever since. So, am I the asshole here? This is like, what is that story called? That fairy tale? The dude with he kept saying something to the villagers and the villagers kept coming and the boy who cried wolf. This is literally the boy who cried wolf. Am I wrong for paying for another bride's wedding dress, but not my daughter's? My husband and I worked hard and managed to become financially secure adults after both of us grew up in poverty. We raised our children to work hard. We did not spoil them or provide them with a lavish life. As teens, they all had part-time jobs, but we did purchase them their own used cars, which they were required to maintain. We also paid for college and we paid for our oldest 2 kids' weddings. However, we were merely the ones paying and we did not provide any input or suggestions unless asked. The only thing we didn't pay for their weddings was our son's tuxedo and our oldest daughter's wedding dress. Our youngest daughter, Michaela, is engaged and we are paying for her wedding with the exception of her dress. She must buy her own wedding dress. Michaela invited her dad and I to watch her try on dresses with the bridal party. She found a beautiful dress in her budget and we were so honored to have been allowed to take part in her finding the dress and seeing herself as a bride. Hey, I really like these parents. They sound really dope. While there, I complimented another bride on a dress she was wearing, and her mother and I struck up a conversation where I learned that the family was low income and both the bride and groom and the bride's parents had taken out loans to have a beautiful wedding. I 100% disagree with people who have to take out loans to have weddings. Don't have the wedding. Have a party in your house. Go hurrah, buy a cheap white dress from like Ross or something, but you should never take out loans. That's how the system destroys us, because society has brainwashed us into thinking that you have to have this lavish lifestyle wedding. Why would you put yourself into debt over one night? Like, why? The bride is also plus sized, and I learned that she had been to 6 different stores and there had only been a few options for her size, and all of them had just been awful. The bride ended up falling in love with the last dress she tried on, but was heartbroken to learn that the consultant had misread the price tag and the dress was actually $1,000 over budget. And with alterations to make it her size, it was another $1,400. The bride took the dress off and said she'd try to find something online. I grew up poor and I was also a chubby kid. I was bullied and I was very unhappy. I always wanted more, and in this bride I saw myself, and I didn't want her to have to settle for a dress that fit versus a dress that she loved. So while my daughter was changing, I asked the other bride if I could pay the difference on her dress. It was very emotional. We all held each other and cried. She accepted. See, that's such a nice gesture though. Like, that is really sweet. I very happily paid the difference on her dress. Her mother, herself, and I are now friends on Facebook, and my husband and I have been invited to the wedding, which we will gladly attend. I felt very honored to have been allowed to help this girl in a very small way, but being invited to her wedding was so unexpected and amazing. When Michaela found out about this, she threw a fit and said that I obviously had shown how I truly feel about her wedding and herself, and if I cared at all, I'd have paid for her dress too. She's now not speaking to me or her father, who didn't even have a hand in this, which is unfair. She has now uninvited us from the wedding. We're so hurt and confused. Was I an asshole? Am I wrong for demanding my girlfriend to change her dress for a wedding? This happened during this weekend, me being in my early 30s and my girlfriend in her late 20s. I was invited to a wedding ceremony of a colleague and I could bring someone with me. I asked my girlfriend that I've been dating for a year if she would like to join me, and she was really happy because she apparently loves weddings. Since we don't live together, I drove to pick her up so we'd have some time to spare before the ceremony. She's also wearing an off-white dress that was rather ornate. As she comes out, she looks really beautiful and has obviously put in time to fix her hair and makeup. As she got in, I told her she looked stunning, but I asked if she could change into a different colored dress for the ceremony. I'm not one for etiquette by far, but one of the few things I have heard everywhere is that you should not wear white to a wedding, unless you're the bride. She became pretty upset and wanted to know what was wrong with her dress. I said that it would be inappropriate to wear a white or off-white dress unless you're the bride, and that it's like wedding law or something, trying to be lighthearted about it. She rolled her eyes and said that it was an outdated tradition about women and virginity, and that when her friends got married, everyone wore white and that it's not a big thing anymore. I still thought she should change to another color but white or almost white because my colleague was getting married and we had no idea how she felt about it. My girlfriend became really upset and told me I was trying to control what she was wearing and that it was abusive. Which honestly made me really upset and hurt. I said something along the lines of, "Duck, well, you shouldn't go to a wedding with an abuser then." And then I told her to get the F out of my car. She began to cry and wanted to apologize and give me a hug. But I just told her to get out, which she did. To clarify, we never left the driveway by her home. I did not drop her off in the middle of nowhere or anything like that. I drove off and she called and texted me a bunch. I answered, "I don't want to talk right now," and then turned my phone off and attended the ceremony. The bride was the only one that was wearing white, so I feel as if my gut feeling was in the right. When I got home, my phone had blown up by text from her and her best friend saying that I was being inconsiderate and controlling and should apologize for my behavior. I feel as if I was in the right since it was my colleague's wedding and it was better to be safe than sorry, but I'm also not sure if I was being an asshole about the situation. I don't understand people's obsession with